Hello, everybody. So thank you for being here. We have a filmmaker for the first film, Clément, present. So I'm not sure if we will have. Yes, she's here. Melisa also. Hello. So we can.
Hello.
So hi, both of you. It was a wonderful session. I think it was very interesting session on probably how do we deal with the world we live in, uh, trying to find ways. I think it was very interesting to put the three films together and makes us think a lot about um, how being different makes you finding ways of searching for other things, and how we deal with technologies also in your film. So I would start maybe by you presenting yourselves. I know that maybe starting by Melisa, I know that you've been working in this project with Sarah Pink, and maybe you could give her some context about it, and then we'll pass it to you.
All right. Thank you for having me, and hello to everyone in the audience and in the panel. Um, I start with the disclaimer that I am not a filmmaker. As you saw in the film, I'm one of the research team doing the design ethnographic field work. This film was part of a project with 33 participants living in regional and rural Australia. My background is as an industrial designer, and then my training during my research projects has been in the intersection of participatory design, design anthropology, and everyday design. So that means that when I'm doing field work, there's this tendency to interact and engage and move from behind the camera into action. And then in this project, it was part of a trial of the technologies that you saw in the film. Um, and it was 6 month trial and an interdisciplinary research with software engineers and aged care providers. So the film is a little bit the story of those fieldwork experiences before pandemia, and then during pandemia, that we didn't have the chance to visit them again. So we work with the materials that we had for the research and try to create the story with Kit Williams and Sarah and Yolandi, with the team and the participants viewing all of these materials before, all the drafts and how they felt about it. And so it's my first time being in a research project that presents the outcomes in this video format. So
Thank
maybe
you,
I can
Melissa.
leave my introduction there. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, in this Bibliothèque Publique film, I think there are a lot of um, not just the way the people is portrayed, but also the fact that you have to whisper to talk to them, and the fact that they were wearing earplugs and everything. So maybe if you could present, of course, yourself, but also talk a bit about these positives. Or these ways of getting to film inside the library. Yeah.
Hello everyone, thank you to be there, and I know it's time to have a meal, and thank you to stay for us. Um, um, so the dispositif was quite simple. We walk around with a cameraman and a sound engineer in the library, and when we see someone who catch our look, we just talk to him and try to encounter this person if he was available. Um, I wanted to have that kind of impromptu meetings as we can have in a big city like Paris, and to give that feeling of meeting by hazard. And so for the sound, and we put some microphones in the headsets, and it was a way to have better intimacy with the people we encounter. And the way we whisper was also something that increased the intimacy, and it made the encounter faster.
Yeah, and also it's interesting to think, relating also to technologies, how headphones have been a way of keeping people together without them really listening to each other. And it's a very interesting technology for, especially in the library, for people that work with sound or film and stuff like that. So I will start by asking if someone wants to drop in the conversation and have some curiosity or some question. Yes, someone there.
Thank you. I have some comment to Clement film. I would like to thank you for this because I'm a librarian, so it was interesting to see a library inside in your eyes. So I would like also ask how long you shoot the film in the library. And the second question is, it was difficult to get a permission from the library to make film inside. Thank you.
Thank you. You made a wonderful job, and with this film, I encounter a lot of librarians, and that's really a job that we have to defend, because sometimes it's threatened, because so we can speak about it later, but so we shoot during 26 days. It was quite a long time to have a film from 50 minutes, but it was what we need to have all the materials we wanted. And the second question was about the permission. At the beginning, I was just encounter people by talking, and then when I came with a camera and a microphone, I had the permission, and the BPI welcomed us very good and very quickly, so we didn't have any problem. Yeah. And it is a public area, but people have private activities, and so it's also a movie about this, about how to encounter private activities and in a public area, and how to have an exchange with someone in a public space with a camera, and we do that. We did that very simply, only with people who were open to encounter us. So.
Anyone else? So if anyone wants to ask a questions, just put your, or speak loud. So I just continue just briefly with also with Melisa, because I was very curious, like, about the way you actually did the filming. Was it, did you had like a team going to the elder people houses, and then you had someone online who did camera. How did you share camera and sound and all these things? And also for you, I was wondering for the Bibliothèque Publique, I was wondering. I saw you were not making cameras, so were you really the person that was encountering the others and they were talking to you? How did you do it? Also in terms of camera and sound. First, we start with.
Thank you. Yes, so at the beginning of the project, because this was born as a research project, that we did visual ethnographic methods as part of the collecting of experiences for the research analysis. When we had planned for the project the film making part that was meant to be on the second field work visit, but that was scheduled for June and July. So these materials that you saw were the ones that we were filming in their house when we were visiting, just to see how they were going with the technology. So in the team, there was a technician that you see later that we interviewed Rose. There was Mick, who's from the Deakin University engineering team, that he was in charge of designing the architecture of these technologies and the back end of how they would all interconnect. And then there was the ethnographic team that we were 5. So I was in all of the 23 households, and then the other teams met me in different days. So Sarah, Rex, Yolandi, and Larissa. But then COVID happened, and because we had the remote distance, even if, let's imagine, we were close, there was the restrictions, then the team had some extra funds for the project, and they included the digital tablet of one of the voice assistants, and 14th of the households accepted they wanted it. And then we thought, all right, this is going to be a chance to also have a device that was trial for the purpose of the project of independence and well-being, ideas for aging independently at home. And now let's use it for interviews. And then for that side of interviews, you see at the beginning that Sarah is saying we are filming, so that's the ethics part of it coming into action. And then my partner, it was filming, and we behind, but before we started, we had participants' approvals, and Kit Williams just worked with all of those materials and then complemented with the archival video and the story that has the Sarah's voiceover. So that was a bit of the making process. And I also have a question for Clement, but maybe after you
No, but
respond to your side.
Go ahead, ask it now.
Yes, my question was, because we had that similar experience with ours, that we had such favorite moments, and the music was a highlight moment of the interviews and those sharing those moments with them. But then because of the copyrights, we couldn't include many of those good moments. So there was the whole editing and detaching of those things that we were attached to. So I just wanted to ask Clement, which things we didn't get to see in the film that were favorite moments of making it, and how was that process of making the decisions of what things to keep and what to hold on.
Okay, did you understand?
Was it copyright?
No.
Were there situations where you couldn't use? Were there situations where you couldn't use the material because of some reason, like an ethical or maybe copyright, or and also I was curious about, because people get really personal with you. They tell you all these very personal approach to the camera, to you, with you. So I was curious about also the process of
Um, yeah, about the way we use music, most of the music you hear in the movie are making by the users of the library themselves. Music they write for certain people and interpret for others. There is plenty of music that we didn't use because there was copyright problems. When someone sing to us a Sinatra song, it was wonderful, but we can't afford it, so we didn't use it. And the way we introduce to people, some people you see, I have met them a long time ago, but that's not the people who are the most part of the film, because the most I knew them, the less they were, frais. La rencontre, the encounter wasn't spontaneous, and they already told me a lot of things, so they didn't repeat it. So, for example, the man who is listening music and writing email at the same time to date a woman, I know him a lot, but this sequence summary all his story, so I didn't have to make more than that. And for other people, that was the same. And so for some people, that was the first encounter that you see in the film, the first words that you have them in front of you. So it depends. And for the camera, at the beginning, I was thinking that I could make sound myself because my previous documentary, I have made the sound myself, but it was too challenging to have a good sound and to make questions at the same time. So we were three.
Okay, I think we have to finish. If someone wants to say something, just one person, yeah. One last.
Hello, so thank you very much. It's really wonderful project, all three. My questions goes to Melisa, the Sarah Pink group. Yeah, it's really a wonderful film, and then we could see all those elderlies, they enjoy the AI technology, but you've been there and observed their everyday lives. Did you find some of the negative impact of the AI? Because when they, dependency, increased to the AI, maybe they might have less communications with each others. So those are the recent findings in Japan also, because more people, they depend on the new technology and the AI, and it's also, they have some negative consequences in their lives. Did you find those negative consequences? Could you?
Yes, yes, thanks. I really like that question. And because we were not sponsored by any of these companies, despite the repetition of the Hey Google throughout the whole thing, then we had flexibility to explore all kinds of questions and ask them how they felt about the privacy. So there were the challenging aspects of technology that we were happy to find and explore with the participants was personally the demystifying of the technologies. So these technologies are presented as smart, and then we got many comments of participants noticing how this smartness was they say it's not that smart, in their words, because it's presented in this friendly human-like voice. It becomes, enters into these very intimate spaces, and you speak with it and it responds. So that there was this novelty effect at the beginning of this machine feels so familiar, but then when the that familiarity starts to not understand what you're saying, not respond to your command, then they started to realize, no, this is not as familiar as it sounds. Some of them started to filter what they said in front of the machine, like Hilda. They wouldn't speak in their language in front of it. They would whisper for it not to sound. Pat, another participant that it's not part of the film, a friend visited and disconnected it because they didn't want to be heard. And she said, not because it's going anywhere specific, but because of the uncertainty of we don't know where it's going. So those matters of privacy came up, but then also it was meant to explore comforts in their everyday life. So finding out the discomfort of having a voice in your intimate spaces as well, or how something as simple as turning on a light, that you would flick the switch. Now you had 4 or 5 steps. You need to ask for a command, click the switch that it's not working, and then they would say, when you can just stand up and flick the switch. So they said, maybe in a few years, if my mobility gets challenged, I could see the purpose. So that process of them throughout the trial realizing we actually don't need it. We might see the value of it in the future. But then there were also concerns of family members telling their parents that these things might make them dependent, as you were saying, and that they don't want to become lazy was the word that came up a lot. So they found their ways around putting the switch buttons far from the comfort. So they needed to stand up to flick the light, so that they still had those mobilities in the home, while having the chance of turning the light in 3 or 4 different ways. So those are a few examples that come to mind.
Thank you very much, Melisa. You will find emails of the filmmakers in the program if you want to get further contact with them. And of course, we have here the filmmaker for Public Library, Bibliothèque Publique. So you can talk to him. He's going to be there today, I think, all day. So available for further questions. Thank you so much. Now we have a break. Thank you, Melisa.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy the rest of the day. And that beautiful space I can see from here. It's just so nice. I wish I was there. Bye.